I bet Guitar Center's gonna sell a lot of these. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Tonight we're going to do an in-depth analysis on the new Guitar Center exclusive Gibson Les Paul Double Cut Special. That's right. If all those juniors that we reviewed were speaking to you, but you just need that neck pickup, GC's got your back on that. However, not only do you get double the pickups, you get double the pickguard coverage. You get double the controls with an added toggle switch, because hey, you need it now. You don't get double the intonation, but whatever. That's part of the charm of these. But check it, the special gets binding along the fretboard that the juniors don't have. And they mop the floor with them, literally with a mother of pearl headstock logo. And is all that double the price? No, these are $300 more expensive than the juniors. Which, by the way, those are no longer just .com exclusives. However, keep in mind those ones have the ebony pickguard versus the tortoiseshell like we've previously reviewed. They also don't seem to get that intonatable wrap tail piece within the case. You can buy those at any dealer, including Guitar Center, who is the sponsor of tonight's episode. They wanted me to let you know about their Black Friday super ultra biggest sale of the year. You can utilize my affiliate links in the description to let Guitar Center know that these sponsored messages help you reach their website. That way we can review more of their cool exclusives. But they're doing up to 40% off on all your favorite brands all the way through December 3rd of 2025. And if you're buying a gift, you can have peace of mind knowing that they have 45-day exchanges and returns as well as free delivery. Oh, and don't forget to shop all their other exclusives. I can't document them all, but I try to do the ones that interest me. And first impressions, I think they're gonna sell quite a few of these things. It's nice and lightweight. It's not too heavy. Now remember, that's gonna vary example to example. It's got a really slender C-shaped neck profile. So it's very similar to those other juniors, but again, if you wanted that double pickup, that's what they're doing here for you. Although it is important to note that just because this has two pickups doesn't necessarily mean it's better. If you can go to the store and try it, some guys just like the feel of a junior one pickup. They don't want all these additional controls. They like a guitar that's a bit more limited, whereas other people, they really like having the option to switch in between. It might sound silly, but take it from the guy who's reviewed so many guitars. There's a big feel difference, and they inspire you to play differently. So you might have room for both in your collection, and it might not be as cut and dry as I want the neck pickup, binding, and mother of pearl logo. But these specials are being offered in the exact same colors: TV yellow, ebony, and cherry. But Guitar Center, if you're listening, I would love to see an exclusive color just to these. Like make Gibson USA do a TV white, a washed out white with the black grain fill. That would be cool. Or something that we haven't seen. I think that would spice things up even further. But besides just the guitar, for the $2,000 price point, we also get a hard shell case, which I enjoy. But I'm curious, do we get the wrap tail bridge? It does not appear so, meaning if you want an intonation ridge or an adjustable Leo Kwan-like style, you would have to buy that separately. But I am surprised they're giving you the deluxe package that includes the Gibson multi-tool. We also have our polishing cloth, all our regular stuff. We've seen it many a times. And don't forget the Gibson strap. But to learn more about this guitar, let's go ahead and throw it on to the Workbench to take an individual look at its parts and specs, and then we'll get to a playing sample. I'd like to start with the finish on this one. Now remember, I'm only reviewing one guitar out of the run. I can't guarantee they're all going to look this nice, but I've got to say, for TV yellow, this is exactly what I was expecting. You can see the dark grain fill on the pores, but yet it's still primarily that yellow hue. For a non-custom shop Gibson, I'm plenty pleased with that. But here's what our pickups look like when you remove the covers. They have black bobbins, and we get the Rhythm P90 soap bar, and I would imagine it says lead. Sure enough, lead P90 soap bar. But now, just how far does our neck extend into the body? All the way down here, so that should be more than enough. Sometimes on like select SGs, you'll get small gaps. I just want to compliment this particular builder. That's tight. If it wasn't for this weird step down area, which is the reason why the pickguard has an extender bar over top of there, I don't think you'd even be able to see that those were different pieces of wood joining together. But we have our color code right here in our neck pickup route that says TV. As far as the route job itself, that's clean. Although when you first open this, it actually does utilize a metal base plate. We've talked about that before. The fact that they have this little line right here means you can swap in a mini humbucker if you'd like, because that's what these two outer legs are for. The P90 uses the center. But since they have this long line right here, you don't even have to worry about drilling into the guitar. It would technically be a reversible modification outside of broken solder joints, so it depends on how good you are with the iron. Everything seems to hold true in our bridge pick cavity. It is also labeled LPSD for a Les Paul Special double cut, I would assume. But the cover itself is black plastic. It utilizes 2 screws going straight down the center. It goes through the pickup like so. And then this one is utilizing springs around those in order to help set your height adjustment. But if you're curious what this would look like without a pick guard at all, I don't know if I would suggest it. It kind of reminds me of the 2015 double cuts that they did. I've always liked the double cut pick guard because also notice it's a multi-ply material of alternating black and white. Even though it only looks like 4, it technically ends on black, so it is 5-ply. So that's a little bit thicker than the juniors and lends to that slightly higher end appearance. But that secures to the body utilizing 3 screws on that side and 3 over here. Now let's grab our pickup readings. Within the circuit, the bridge reads 7.88 k ohms. Our neck is about the same, just a little hotter, and then they play together at 394. Furthermore, if you're confused about our control layout, that's just how the double cuts are. Have no fear though, this is still the neck volume and the neck tone, whereas these are our bridge controls. So bridge volume, bridge tone. It's just for whatever reason, historically speaking, they made them slightly askew. I've never really thought about the reasoning for that before, but do you think it's because if you pretended that's not here, those are like lined up to follow the curve of the body, but they needed just one more, so they put that there? I mean, this is not a critique of how they're doing it now. They're just following tradition. I've just always thought these look strange like that, but these are shipping with an amber switch tip, and you've got a poker chip, and we've got the black bonnet style knob. No thumb bleeders on this model. And at first glance, I don't see any like super obvious seam lines, but if I had to point one out, I would imagine that is one there. So maybe 3-piece body? Well, you know what? Maybe not. I actually see a center seam line on the end grain, but I don't see anything over there where I thought I was going to see one. So it might be 2. It's hard to tell. They do a good job matching, at least on this one. I certainly don't have any complaints in the looks department. Now our bridge and tailpiece, essentially. This is what is known as a wraparound bridge. The one it ships with is done up by Advanced Plating Incorporated. And the way this works, rather than putting the strings through this way and then tightening up at the top, you put them in this way and you wrap them around. That's why it's called a wraparound bridge. So this is acting as the tailpiece, and then sometimes you can find an intonation ridge right here. Other times it's just like the vintage style. Generally speaking, if you want absolute perfect intonation, throw all guitars away. There's no such thing as a perfectly intonated guitar. But these ones, you just kind of rock it back and forth because you have 2 set screws right here. You can utilize your Gibson multi-tool if you'd like. Just be careful you don't ding up your finish. That's really easy to do when adjusting these guys. So that can get you as close as possible, but as I was telling you earlier, there are aftermarket intonatable wrap tails that have the usual saddles that you can move to get you even closer. The big important thing we learned about this model, when they first came out with these, they were having issues with the bridge placement. So I'm curious, now that these are out as dealers and exclusives, if they fix that. This model should have a 24 3/4-inch scale length. So taking the full measurement, the middle of the bridge should be about right here. Because the reason why saddles are usually stair-stepped, it's because every string's a little bit different. So I would say they have that placed at a happy medium. You should, in theory, be fine to intonate this as good as you possibly can. Because those early ones, if you go back to that first episode we did, this was like much further down and it was tricky. But moving on from our slab mahogany body, we've got a rosewood fretboard and another mahogany neck. As per usual, this thing was really dry straight from the factory. If you're curious how I make my boards look so nice, dark and lustrous and conditioned, I just use this. You can get that at our sponsor's website as well. Are there fancier things you can use? Sure, but I've always had good success with that. Now, as far as the tooling mark situation, I noticed a couple here, and I would not say these frets impressed me straight out of the box as far as the shininess of them, but they did wipe down okay. There is one thing I would like to mention about the neck. Sometimes a small ledge will form between the binding and where the neck begins. Sometimes that just has to do with the clear coat because it bunches up more on the finish of the neck rather than the binding. The base side of this one's actually pretty good. I don't notice it too much until we get to about right here. There's just a small feel difference. But on the treble side of the neck, I can feel much more of a difference over here. It's not really something you can see. I'm just letting you know to expect it because that is on many of them. Now, one way you could fix that is to lightly sand that area, but by about the 12th fret, that starts to disappear a bit. Now, does that affect the playability crazily? No, but some guys it bothers them. The way this one is done, I really don't think it would affect anybody, but this is a review. I'm saying everything I see because otherwise we have not mother of pearl dot inlays. It's only mother of pearl for the headstock logo on the specials. This is still acrylic. And we've got our black side marker inlay. And how's our neck? 1.7 inches at the nut. Just a little shy of 210 by the 12. And oh my, 0.84 first fret neck depth. Gotta tell you, I've been reviewing so many 50s necks these past couple of days. This is a nice change of pace. But it goes all the way to 0.95 at the 12. So it's got the rounded shape. It's not quite D-like, it's more C. But thanks to the wideness and thinness of the neck in this area, it does feel similar to those profiles, but it really kind of chunks up a little bit up here. It gives you just a little bit more to hang on to. I like that. It's like a 60s neck blent with a more medium neck profile, but all being more on the slim C side. Here's a look at that on the contour gauge if you're more of a visual learner. 1st fret and 12th fret. You can kind of see what I'm talking about. Skinnier, gets wider, but still maintains that slimmer C. And we've got a 12-inch fretboard radius and the aforementioned 24 3/4 inch scale. But here we go, the headstock. My favorite thing about a special, always love the mother of pearl logo. It just makes it look so much better than the Gibson decal. But we've got our Les Paul special silk screen this time. We can see through to our bare mahogany right here in our truss rod route. Everything seems to be good on the rod itself. And it ships with a blank 2-ply truss rod cover, black and white. And they're giving you your vintage special button tuners. But I've always had a love-hate relationship with these. Like, this is what the 50s ones came with. That's what a lot of people expect. But for me, I hate how small the buttons are. But thankfully, they're not using 3 on a side tuners on the back. So if you're like me and you wish it had the full-on Clusons, they're drop-in replacements. And they're really cheap, I think like $60 or something. Now that I've got it strung back up, let's check the intonation. It's about right for the low E. A little flat on the A. A little flat on D. Just a little sharp on G. Pretty decent on B. Oh, surprisingly perfect on the top E. The demonstration of that was not to fully set this up at a professional level at this time. It's to show you how this came straight out of the box. I would say most of that's close enough for the average guy and exceeds my expectation for a wrap tail piece. So if you wanted to upgrade it to one of those intonatable ones, you're going to have no issues. That is perfectly fine with the placement. Assuming all the other ones are like the one that is here on my workbench. And now moving on to the backside, just like our weird control layout, you also have kind of a weird tombstone shaped backplate. It's certainly an interesting shape. Oh, wow. Nice job, Gibson USA, on this one. You must have just changed out the router bits. I don't see any splintering in here. That is actually really clean. And since this model does not have a dedicated top, they can't use a CNC route to drill that hole. That's the reason why that is a circular route, because they take their long drill bit and they run it through. Many times that's before they even put the neck on, but I suppose they could also do it that way. But it looks like our regular stuff in here. Switchcraft branded 3-way toggle switch, SG style. Then you've got 4 Gibson branded pots with orange drop capacitors. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, and it's hand wired in case you didn't notice. No quick connect systems. And I will compliment the wood grain again. It looks great back here. However, now that I can get the light on it in just the right way, you can just barely see that center seam line. And there is a very mild fisheye-like effect over here within our paint. That one's not a big deal, but there is a really rather unfortunate wood grain. These, back in the day, did not have a really extended neck tendon, so they were very common to break right here at the heel. Let's just say if I was shopping on the used market and saw a line like this, I would immediately run away because that's what that looks like. But that appears to be some sort of like a wood grain line within the mahogany body. It's hard to keep the camera in focus and show you when the light hits it, but it would definitely spook me. But I know it's a brand new Gibson. This has not been repaired. It's, just part of its charm, I guess. Documented here on the show for all to see. There's no monkey business. I'll even blacklight test that area just for fun. Now, just because something doesn't glow could just mean the whole thing was refinished. But again, at the time of documentation, this was brand new. So unless it was repaired at the factory before they did it, which I highly doubt, we should be fine. I suppose while we're here, we can look at the rest real quick under blacklight. Not too much glowing on, but the orange drop capacitors have a nice fluorescentness to it. But otherwise, we've got a black plastic output jack plate, regular strap button down here, and the other one is at the top of the horn, not at the base of the neck. Our wood grain fun continues up the backside of our 60s style neck. And here you can see those tuners a little bit more clearly. They are individual units, but the serial number of this one dates to the 235th day of 2025. Initial batch production number 164, made in USA, Nashville, Tennessee. And lastly, the weight on mine, a little under 7.5 pounds. 7 pounds, 6.5 ounces. Fit and finish, for the most part, good. I would mark it a 9.5 because of that weird contamination area, and maybe they could have used a piece of wood that didn't look like it had a neck repair, but otherwise, just some minor tooling marks here. So far, this is feeling like a really nice resonant example. I'm plenty happy with these. But now let's do the most important test. How does it sound? Hopefully that gives you an idea of the clean tones. So far, I'm digging it. This thing is one of the good ones. It resonates everywhere, especially in the neck. I wish there was a way for me to show you guys that. I do notice the neck pickup gets a little bit dark / slightly muddy when you really get aggressive on it, but if you pick softly, it's very sweet. That's still the neck pickup. That sounds so crystal clear. The bridge takes the spanking a little bit better. They blend together nicely. Let's see what they do with some dirt. Yep, just as I was expecting. That bridge pickup sings under some distortion. You know it's a good guitar when I break out Thunder Horse. Good sustain on this one, too. All right, guys, I'm going to tell you like it is. Get one of these. If it's anything like mine, you're going to love it. Usually, I'm not the biggest double cut guy, but I've slowly been growing on them. But this one, it's the right combination of woods. It just happens to have that magic mojo. When they say go to a store, try them all out, and pick the one that you like the best, this one would be coming home with me. Sure, we got that weird wood grain thing, but that's just part of the character, I guess. Overall, quality seemed to be pretty good. Just a few things that we found on the workbench. But if you were interested in one of these, based on my experience on this one, yeah, you are going to love it. Way different from the Junior. And you might say, hey, Trogly, should I spend just a little bit more to get the Les Paul Standard? Stop into a Guitar Center and try it out for yourself, because I can't express enough. I know it just seems like, oh, it's two guitars. Why not get the more expensive one with all the other fancy stuff? There's a feel difference. Even just removing one neck pickup and stepping down to the Junior, that changes the whole feel of the instrument, the same way as getting the full-on Les Paul shape. This is its own identity and has its own people that you think of when you think about double cuts, whether that's Stones or Green Day or even Mr. Thunders. They inspire you in different ways. So what I'm trying to say is, if you were interested in one of these, it gets my seal of approval. I liked it even better than the Juniors, but that's because I like having a little bit of extra fanciness on my guitar. And this one bridges the gap between extra fancy and not too overly fancy. But alright, troglodytes, I hope this video helped you make an informed decision. Don't forget to visit the sponsor of tonight's episode, Guitar Center, to check out all of their deals. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow on the next one. Take care.